Hello everyone, this is the Sineth. So welcome you all to another random tutorial. So today we are going to talk about location tracking using Python language and related modules. So before moving to our today's tutorial, I would like to tell you that if you are interested in computer science, software engineering or any of the IT related field, so feel free to subscribe to my channel. I am planning to do different kind of interesting stuffs throughout my channel. Okay, so as I previously mentioned, today our topic is location tracking. So we are using Python language for all the implementation regarding to today's tutorial, and also our respective module for location tracking is ip2geotools, right? So before going to explanations regarding to the implementations, I would like to explain you about geolocation services and geolocation databases, right? Okay, let's get started with the basic architecture. So you can see that this is our basic architecture to demonstrate about the location services, geographical location services and databases, right? So think about this is a client. So client is requesting an IP from geolocation service. So what does this geolocation service does is it is going to give the location regarding to the provided IP by client, right? So whenever client has provided an IP address to the geolocation service, so it is going to map that IP address to a particular location and give those location details to the client. So these geolocation services are capable for addressing IP addresses and related location for them and give them whenever request has done, right? So client is going to request an IP from geolocation service, then that geolocation service has one geolocation database, or it will have many geolocation databases, right? So in this example I only have one geolocation database for the ease of explanation. So geolocation service, this geolocation service has this particular geolocation database. So whenever client has requested an IP from this service, it is going to access the particular location database. So this database contains this kind of data bulk, right? So it has an it has a table, or it has some kind of data which maps a particular IP address to the location. So you can see that these are the IP addresses and these are the location details regarding to those IP addresses. So these database, the data of this database is updated within time. So it is going to be updated by the geolocation service, and it's not our business, right? It is the updating purposes are done from geolocation service, right? So these data are updated within time, maybe within 2 weeks, maybe within twice for a week, right? Likewise, the database is going to be updated within time to maintain IP addresses and the location details all over the world, right? So we have to pass and we have to request an IP address to the geolocation service, then it will access their location database and retrieve respective location details for the provided IP address by the client. Then that particular output will be passed to the client as a response, right? So this response is a location object. So this location object contains several kind of attributes and also methods. Actually that response object, which means that location, is a model, right? So the attributes and the methods for a particular response location may be differ from the geolocation service. So today our geolocation service, which I am going to explain you throughout this tutorial, is ip2geotools. So this is a very simple and very smart geolocation service which is available in commercial and also non-commercial way. So we are going to do all the implementations regarding to non-commercial services which we can obtain through ip2geotools service, right? So our geolocation service is ip2geotools service, but this ip2geotools service not holding only one database. It is holding different kind of databases with different kind of data, right? So we have the chance and we have the permission to choose a particular database as our choice and get the geolocation services by specifying them using the code implementations, and we can try out different databases according to our requirement and needs, right? So that's all about the basic architecture of the basic idea of geolocation services and these the related databases, right? So let's move into the implementations now. So before moving to the implementations, let me to show you the PyPy documentation of ip2geotools, right? So if you haven't installed ip2geotools module to your computer, so you can go through pip install ip2geotools. So it is free to download. You can download this third-party module using just pip command, right? So I'm not going to explain about those things. They are very familiar and you can go through them. So you can see this is our project description. So you can see these are the basic usages, and you can also use this particular model using command line, right? So this is the model data. So I will explain you about that after a while, right? So these are the databases which are available in our geolocation service. So you can see DB IP city, host IP, free geo IP, IP stack, maxmin geolite to city, IP to location, right? So these are non-commercial database which are available in our particular geolocation service, and these are some of commercial databases which we have to pay for the services provided by those databases, right? So this is the basic description regarding to our ip2geotools. So let me show you a research paper which was done in, I don't know what about the time and the period which this has been conducted. So anyway, this research paper is explaining about geolocation database, especially about ip2geotools module, right? So I'm not going to explain everything in here. So you can see these are the databases which are present in ip2geotools. So we are going to do all the implementations today by this particular database, and you can see it is free and the interface is from REST API, and we can get the responses from JSON also, right? So these are right. Okay, I told you that the response from the geolocation service is a location object or a location model. So you can see that the response, right, this particular response from the geolocation service is this, right? Basic architecture of that response is this. So you can see that the model contains an IP address, it is string, and a city, region, country, latitude and longitude regarding to the location of provided IP address, right? And also this model contains, so these are the attributes of the model and these are the methods of the model. It has different kind of conversion methods. So if you want to convert your response from the geolocation service to JSON format, so you can go through to JSON method. So if you want to convert it into XML format, so you can go through to XML method. So if you want to convert it into CSV format, if you want to convert it to a string, and if you want to convert it into any of the this particular type of string, so you can go through these kind of methods which are available in our location object, right? So this location object, the structure of this location object is very similar to the output of our ip2geotools geolocation service, right? So and also, so there are different kind of explanations, so you can go through this. I have mentioned the links for these particular resources, so I will show you at the end of this tutorial, right? So here, this is very interesting demonstration about the databases which present in our geolocation service. So you can see that these are the latest these are from results from geolocation databases of our geolocation service, ip2geotools. So they have checked a particular location by providing IP address, and the databases have this output holding information regarding to the output from different kind of databases. So you can see that this green color location is representing the real the actual location of the provided IP address. So these blue color location represent the output from ip2geotools database, and this is another database, and those are another different kind of database. So you can see that the nearest and the well accurate output is from ip2geotools. Right, so you can see that the output from ip2geotools database is very much nearest to the actual location, right? So that's why we are go through the ip2geotools database, because it has given very much interesting results for provided IP addresses, right? So therefore I would like to go through ip2geotools. So if it's feel free to try these other databases also, and you will feel that the outputs and their you will able to understand the behaviors of those databases comparatively to each of them, right? So let's move into the applications. So we have talked a lot, right? So I have imported some kind of related modules. So these three modules, random, socket, and request, right? So those are built-in modules, so you don't need to worry about how to install them. They are already installed whenever you have installed Python language. So you only need to install ip2geotools service. So I have imported databases of non-commercial category, and I have imported ip2geotools database as logdb, which means location db, which I am going to use for today's implementations, right? So I have created a customized function which is used for my ease, right? So in this function is capable for create a location model by passing database and IP address. So whenever I have passed my database and the IP address, so it will create me a model object, right, which is similar to this, right? It will create this model object whenever I have passed my database and IP address. So you can see that it is going to call get method of database, and it has passed IP address, and my API key is free. Then I have written my model of location attributes and methods, right? Then I have created another function which is capable for extract and rendering attributes of my current response model, right? Location model, actually it should be location model, right? So you can see that I have rendered IP address of location, right? So you can see this is the thing which I have rendered, right? Likewise I have rendered city, region, country, latitude, longitude, right? So you can see city, region, country, latitude, longitude. So I have rendered the values regarding to the different kind of attributes of my IP location model. Okay, so I have I just only wanted to do my implementations in easy manner, so that's why I have created these functions explicitly for the demonstration purposes, right? Okay, so let us think, if we have entered an IP address as a keyboard input, so how we are going to track the location correspond to that IP address? So that is this, right? So you can see in case of keyboard entered IP, this is the thing which we have to do, right? So I have entered an IP address. I'm going to enter an IP address as a keyboard input, so that IP address may be in IP version 4 or IP version 6, right? So both of versions are compatible. Then I am going to pass my location db, which is I have, what is that name, right? I am okay, db ip-city, right? db ip-city. Then I have passed my db ip-city database and ip address to create model function, which I have created as is for my is of mine, right? So then it will pass me a location model. Then that response model is going to be extracted by my customized function extract model, right? So let me run this particular cell. Then I am going to pass an IP address which is totally random, right? So 123 32 10 7, right? So okay, so I haven't called these modules, these functions. Okay, 245 657. Oh, I haven't imported okay, 4456, right? The provided IP address is totally random, so I have entered my IP address. Then it will take some time to track the location. You can see that this is our location data. So this is my provided IP address. So this is the location, right? This is the location which corresponds to the IP address which I have provided as a keyboard input, and this is the location of latitude and longitudes correspond to the location of my IP address, right? So you can, let me to give another try. So I'm going to pass class C IP address now, like this. So there we go. You can see that the location data has retrieved successfully, right? So let's move into the next scenario. So whenever you want to get the location of your current device, right? If you are engaging with your laptop, so if think that if you want to track the location of your laptop by providing the public IP address, your public IP address of your computer, right? So you can get your public IP address using this particular statement. So you can what we are going to do is we are going to give a get request to this particular URL, and we are going to get the text attribute from them. So the result is IP address, which is public, and it is correspond to your current device, right? So another way to know about your public IP address is, so this is the way to know about your public IP address information. So you can see that. So you have to go to what is my IP at ip.com and your my IP information. So you will be seeing your public IP address in IP version 4, IP version 6, or both of them, right? So you can see there are different kind of information has been also retrieved. So if you want to go through this model, so you can pass it at this IP address as a keyboard input, or otherwise you can call like this. So you can give a get request to this particular service and get the text attribute as your current public IP. So this IP is your current public IP, current device public IP address. Then what we are going to do is we are going to pass our location database and IP address to the create model. Then it will create a model of location. Then we are going to extract the details of our model's attributes, right? So you can see this is the location details of my current device. So actually this is not my exactly address of my current location, but anyway it is very much nearest to my current location, right? So as I previously mentioned, this will not give you exactly the correct location regarding to your devices or your IP addresses, right? It is trying to give you the best and the most accurate and most nearest location to the provided IP address, right? So don't give 100% of trust on this. This may work well accurate, and also this may not work well accurately, right? Okay, so next what we are going to do, so if you want to pass an URL as a keyboard input, so how we are going to get IP address and let know about the location. So I have done is I'm going to input an URL as a keyboard input, then I'm going to catch that URL and I'm going to pass it to get host by name method of socket, right? Then the socket module, so I have imported socket module, right? So then I'm going to pass my URL to this particular method, and it will give me the IP address correspond to the provided URL as a keyboard input, right? So then I'm going to do the similar thing which I have done in previous scenarios. I'm going to pass my location database and IP address to the create model function, and then I'm going to extract the attribute values from the response model, right? Okay, so it is prompting to enter until entering an URL. So I'm going to enter www.cnn.com. Right, there we go. You can see that the address is this and the latitude and longitudes are available in this manner. So let me to give another try. So www.facebook.wikipedia.org. So there we go. You can see address is San Francisco Financial District, California, USA. So these are the location details, which means latitude and longitudes, and this is the IP address correspond to the URL which we have provided, and www.wikipedia.org, right? Okay, so if you want to generate a random IP, and if you want to know about the location of generated random IP, so this is the scenario which you have been looking, right? So you have to generate an random IP address using random module. So I'm going to generate a random IP address of IP version 4, right? So you may know that IP version 4 address has 4 octets, right? So one particular octet is in the range of 0 to 255. So I'm going to generate 4 octets which have separated in dots, and one particular octet is in the range of 0 to 255. So the value between 0 to 255 is totally random, and it is going to be returned by the random modules randint method, right? So I have created 4 I have got the 4 octets of IP address in random manner. So you can see that this is the random IP. So if you want to get another random IP, simply you have to call this cell again, right? You can see that IP address is being changed, right? You can see. So then what we have done is same as the previous. We have to call create model function and pass our database and IP address, and then we can extract the attribute values as we previously did, right? So you can see this is the address and location details which correspond to the random IP which we have generated, right? So let me to give another try. So I would like to go through this IP address, then let me to show you the location data. That's it, right? So you can see the particular location details of the provided IP address has been rendered successfully, right? Okay, so that's all about it. So you can download this module and do many kind of interesting things with Python language, and you can do different kind of research, and it may help you to implement your own software solutions using the help of this particular geolocation service, right? So these are the references which I have gone through for my implementations and today's tutorial stuffs. So this is the ip2geotools, the PyPy documentation, and this is for the research paper which I have explained you about they explain about the database comparisons, right? Then this is actually this is IP address generator. So if you want to generate an random IP address, right, so you can go through these IP address generator service, right? So if you want to create generate an IP version 6 IP address randomly, so what you have to do is you have to select IP version 6 from these selection, and you have to pass the number of IP addresses you want, and then you have to click generate IP address. So your IP address has generated in IP version 6. So simply you have to copy this particular IP address. So let us give a try by keyboard entered IP address, right? So I'm going to pass my copied IP address of IP version 6 to this particular prompt, and okay, so you can see that the location data has retrieved successfully to the provided IP version 6 address, right? So you can go through any of the IP address in the version of IP version 4 or IP version 6, right? So this right, so this is the reference which is correspond to the my IP information. So if you want to know about the IP address which have allocated to your device, right, so you can go through this particular URL and check out your IP version 4 or IP version 6 address correspond to your device, right? So that's all about it for today. So if you have any question regarding to today's tutorial, so please let me know in the comment section. I am very happy to answer for your question. So also if you have any suggestion or if you have any idea regarding to contents of my YouTube channel, so please let me know them in the comment section, and I am very happy to answer for your I'm expecting your feedback from these particular tutorials, right? So if you really enjoyed my today's tutorial, please give me a huge thumbs up and share this video with your friends. And again, if you haven't subscribed me yet, subscribe just now and stay with me for this kind of interesting to learn this kind of interesting stuffs, right? So thank you very much again. So I'm going to wrap up today's tutorial. So let us meet with another interesting tutorial, right? So keep learning, stay safe, and thank you very much.